The manufacture of textiles and clothing was predominantly the domain of women during the Viking Age, making spinning and weaving routine daily domestic chores in virtually every household. And because women were in charge of it and they used to do it in this sort of subterranean pit house known as the dingia, weaving also became associated with magic and even the weaving of fate. Wool was by far the commonest woven cloth, followed by linen, which was often preferred for the undergarments. Hemp and flax were cultivated specifically for this purpose, but we also have some evidence that animal furs were used for trimmings and cloaks, for example. So what happened was that the carded wool was attached to a distaff and then teased onto a weighted spindle, using a spindle whorl to provide momentum. So by twisting and turning the spindle as it was dropped, yarn was rolled onto it. And in many of the archaeological sites, actually pretty much everywhere, we find quite a lot of spindle whorls. They're often scattered in Viking Age houses, and this would be evidence that Norse women carried their spinning with them pretty much everywhere. The most common loom was the warp weighted loom, an upright type that stood slightly taller than an adult and was typically positioned near a doorway for light. This would have also been symbolical, like for symbolizing creation, like bringing into being something, which is the essence of spinning and weaving. And the loom weights would have also been very important. So these small discs of clay or stone, they were essential because they tensioned the warp threads. We do have an interesting discovery at the Oseberg ship burial, namely a rare two-beam vertical loom. But loom weights, on the other hand, are quite common finds, and this would indicate the prevalence of the warp-weighted type. So essentially, textile production was a critical maintenance activity, and this can be seen perhaps best in Iceland, where we have homespun being used as currency instead of silver. The massive demand for wool, particularly for sails, the sails of the ships, profoundly impacted the landscape and economy, necessitating sheep farming, quite substantial sheep farming, and farm consolidation.